Ayo, Chris Mystery Cleaning was the Foul Coast. So me and Nicole decided to sort of book our honeymoon 14 years after we got married. So basically when we got together we were in utter turmoil, and as a result we didn't have the money to sort of splash out on the honeymoon that we wanted to go on. And you know, I promised Nicole faithfully that when the time was right and the money was right and the situation was right, that we would, that I would book a honeymoon and we would go away, just the two of us. And you know, life got in the way. Life has a habit of getting in the way, doesn't it? So obviously, since you know, since I got married, started a business. Had children, my wife started a new job, started another business, and the bottom line is ultimately you can run yourself ragged and say, oh right, well when the time's right, you know, when the situation is favourable, then we'll do it then. But saying that is ultimately a lot of times you can push yourself into a corner and say, well actually the time is never right. And yeah, so sometimes you just have to sort of look at your finances, say, yeah, can we afford it? Can we not? Right, fine. Let's let's commit to a date and do it, which we did. And phenomenal city is Rome, and we had a whale of a time. Saw the Colosseum, Vatican City, all that sort of good stuff. Ate too much food, drank too much wine, had an absolute blast. But yeah. Alas, first working day back now, and we're at the business end, aren't we? So just wanted to drop a video today to sort of talk about things that I've seen, things that I've heard through FaceAche and social media and all that sort of good stuff. A couple of people on the forums that I often entertain myself by looking at. There are some people who are in a bit of a quandary. Their customers increasingly are asking for a reduction of service. So for example, they may be currently on a 4-weekly window clean, and the customer, in order to save money, has decided actually it's more suited to us for you to come every 8 weeks. And there's people asking for advice and all that sort of stuff. So I thought I might extend an olive branch and do a video on it. It's clear that obviously this cost of lockdown it's impacting a lot of people. And believe it or not, the day that we left for Rome in the morning, we flew out in the evening, but in the morning I went out to work, do a handful of sweep up jobs just to finish up and get ready for spending time away. I had a conversation just like that with a customer. We clean their windows every 4 weeks. It's a relatively medium-ish, it's a relatively large-ish sort of house, but we charge 30 quid every 4 weeks. It's 3 floors, nothing too extravagant, doesn't take that long to do, but it's you know, a small drive, about 15-minute drive from where I live. And yeah, basically we charge 30 quid. So as a result, sort of the customer is asking, Chris, you know, we'd like to go down to 8 weekly. How I've chosen to sort of deal with this is to say we operate a 4-weekly rota. It's not worth it, in my eyes. It's not worth doing 8 weeklies or quarterlies for houses, unless you're going to charge a lot higher, you know, raise the price significantly. But because our rota is getting filled up now quite a lot, you know, we have, if you take the two businesses together, we service around about 900 properties, close to 1,000 properties a month, sort of thing. So you know, we've got a lot of work on the rota, And with the greatest will in the world, there is not the biggest wiggle room for, you know, every other month cleans. You know, we've built a reputation for being a good business, a good company, a reliable company. The lads, you know, do a fantastic job. They work hard, etc. You know, and the thing is that we've built ourselves a reputation for being a value-driven business. That is to say that ultimately, you know, the customers that we target see the value in what we have to offer and are prepared ultimately to sort of take us on and pay for that service. You know, if a customer decides, actually, my values of, you know, I'm a customer, let's say, and the customer says, well, actually, my values have changed. Actually, I don't want it done every 4 weeks. I only want it done every 8 weeks. You know, the old Chris would have turned around and gone, oh, right, well, okay, well, yeah, I can make changes, and, well, you know, it is what it is, and, yeah, it's fine. Every other month or every 8 weeks, I'll come round. And in the short term, it won't really make that much difference. But the problem is then, is that if you allow 8 weekly customers onto your round, you attract those that only want it done every 8 weeks. So then some will want 8 weekly, some will want 4 weekly, you know, and all this sort of stuff. And then what will happen is every other month, you'll end up working a longer day. And you will get to the point where you're looking at your rota going, oh, God, have I got to do this one again? Have I really got a 12-hour day or 11-hour day ahead of me? You know, and you're like, oh, I can't, you know. If you allow one customer to do that, you know, then really you've got to allow every customer to do that. And are you in a position where you can say to all your customers, well, actually, you know, I don't mind you going down to 8 weekly, you know, because ultimately you then half your income, but your costs are still the same. You're still burning the same amount of fuel, you know, you're still, you know, putting the same wear and tear on the vehicle, you know, and really you're creating more work because the customer's not going to want to pay more because their aim is to save money. So really, the windows aren't going to be as clean, so they're going to take longer to clean, but they're not going to want to spend as much money. So then you're in a position now where it's like, well, I'm working harder for less money. I'd have probably been better off letting this customer go and finding another customer that wants, you know, the windows doing every 4 weeks. You know, do not be fooled. There is plenty of money out there, and there are plenty of people prepared to spend it. And just because you're losing this one customer, even if it's a big ticket, even if it's a bigger than usual price, you know, a bigger than usual house that you do, sometimes you just have to let the customer go. If they truly, you know, only want it done every 8 weeks, and you say, well, I'm really sorry, we only offer 4 weekly, then what happens is then the customer has to go back and say, well, Chris only wants to do it every 4 weeks. You know, should I find someone else? Should I go through the whole rigmarole trying to find another reliable contractor who's going to do it for the same price, who's going to come when I want him to come? Is he going to text the night before? Is he going to do the frames and all that sort of good stuff as well? Is he going to clean my front door? Is he going to, you know, all that, you know, communicate? You know, does he provide online banking, all that sort of stuff? You know, am I going to be able to find another person to replace this contractor, this window cleaner, who will offer the same high quality service, but was just prepared to come every 8 weeks instead? And it's a lot harder than what you think it is. So oftentimes, in my opinion, and my opinion alone, you're far better to sort of turn around to the customer and say, yeah, I'm really sorry, my love, we don't do 8 weeklies. We operate every 4 weeks, or whatever it is you choose to operate. The customer has to sort of meet you halfway. And if it's a case of the customer sort of picking and choosing when they want the windows done and, you know, sort of, you know, moving the goalposts, if you like, then really, you know what I mean, you're sort of getting into a position where ultimately it's the customer that benefits more than you do. every business relationship has to be a compromise of some description. You have to be prepared to, provide the service and charge X amount, and the customer has to be prepared to accept your T's and C's, pay that amount, okay, and meet you in the middle. That's a balanced relationship. You get to the point where the customer's actually saying, well, actually, Chris, I don't want you to come back. I want you every 3 months instead of every 4 weeks. And you're almost like, right, well, actually, that doesn't meet with my values. I don't want to come and clean your windows every 3 months. I want every 4 weeks on the day, we'll come and do your windows. We'll do your windows, your frames, your sills, your doors every 4 weeks, okay? And, payment pay by online bank transfer or by whatever means, etc., that you decide it works for you. But ultimately, it's you that decides how you run your business. It's not down to the customer. And it's not down to what you think the customer will want. It's down to, look, this is what I do. We clean the windows every 4 weeks. Now, why do I clean the windows every 4 weeks? Because that suits me. And I don't care if it suits the odd person or not. Those people who want the windows done every 4 weeks, cool. I want to have a conversation with them. Those that want it done every 6 weeks, well, we don't do 6 weekly. Or can you make an exception? Well, yeah, I can, but we don't operate a 6 weekly rota because it doesn't fit in with our business. We're in this area every 4 weeks. We're in this area every 4 weeks. We're in that area on a Monday, that area on a Tuesday, that area on a Wednesday. We don't go. It's not worth me sending a vehicle out of 6 or 7 miles out the way to do one job every 8 weeks, which will take twice as long. And all that sort of good stuff. And here's the other thing as well, right? What people don't look at as well is a thing called profit and loss, right? I know, because of the conversations I've had with my accountant, the percentage of what I take away from money that comes in, money that goes out, and what's left, okay? And I know that my wages, my personal wages, make up about 36% of what I bring in. So let's break it down to each job. Are you meeting your percentage? For argument's sake, if you was to go to a job and it was a £10 job, right? And your take up, your P&L was 36%, then from every job you do that's £10, £3.60 is yours. I'm saying £10 is easy maths, right? Okay, because I'm not very good at maths. But even I can see that if I take 36% of total turnover as my wages, then my pre-tax take-home is £3.60 from every £10 that I make. From every pound that I make, 36 pence pre-tax is mine, right? So the thing is, you're sort of saying to yourself, well, this job might be, say, 20 quid every 4 weeks because it's a maintenance clean, because it's easier to maintain the clean. They're not that dirty every 4 weeks, but would the situation change if you went to 8 weekly? Yeah, it would. So then what you're saying is ultimately you're going to work for the same amount of money, but ultimately take longer to complete the task. Therefore, you're working harder for less. And then you've got to fill the slot that they've just left. But in filling that slot, you then means every other month, you've still got that customer to worry about. So ultimately, you're probably better off just binning the customer off, or not so much binning the customer off. What I would do is I would ultimately give them a choice and say, I'm really, really sorry, my love. We operate a 4 weekly rota because it fits in with the areas that we're in, and our business works that way. If I was to come every other month, then I would have to fill your slot, but then every other month I'm working a longer day and I'm working harder for less money, and it's not really worth doing for us. Have a bit of a think, and I would say to the customer, if you truly want to go down to 8 weekly, then thank you for your custom, but ultimately you're probably better finding another contractor And I'd much rather pay you the compliment of being blunt and honest and say, that's not how we operate. We operate 4 weekly. And the decision is yours as to whether or not you carry on using us. And you let me know when if you decide to cancel the service. I completely understand, you know. And the ball is back in their court. You know, you've effectively handed the problem back. Yeah. You're not doing yourself any favours by mixing your rota up too much. Now, of course, you're going to have, for example, there are, for argument's sake, quarterly cleans, or there are 6 monthly cleans, or annual cleans, or there's gutter clearing, or there's this, that, and the other. There's ad hoc jobs here and there. But guess what? Those ad hoc jobs can be fitted around other jobs, yeah? If you was to have 2 rotas running side by side, one at 4 weekly, one at 8 weekly, then it basically means that every other month you're working harder for less money. And psychologically, you've got to look at that list and say, oh God, this month I've got a 10-hour day, 11-hour day, blah, blah. Whereas every 4 weeks, you might be doing maybe, I don't know, a 6 or 8-hour day. Yeah, but then every other month, those 8 weeklies hit the rota as well, and you've got to go, oh Christ, I've got an 11-hour, 12-hour day ahead of me. You know what I mean? All because you're trying to accommodate the customer. Don't worry too much about, you know, trying to accommodate the customer too much, yeah? There is being helpful, and then there is you doing yourself no favours whatsoever. And sometimes, you know, the best thing you can do is be selfish and say, actually, this is how we operate. I'm really sorry. You will find customers that you know that can replace these jobs, and no matter what people say, there is always money out there, and there is always someone prepared to pay it.